a stand in 1970. Dear Mr. Evan Hansen, I am writing to you today to tell you why I won't be able to attend our meeting later on today. You see, I must attend a protest that is being held in front of the Capitol today. I'm very inspired by the women's liberation movements of the past, one of those being the women's strike of 1970. 10 years before the women's strike of 1970, many women started to realize how unequal society treats them. So women like Betty Friedan organized a strike to help them take a stand. There was no legal way to get abortions in the 1960s, so women had to resort to self-induced abortions, which were often deadly. Women had begun to speak out about domestic violence, reproductive rights, and equal pay, but not many women's voices were heard because they were afraid to speak out for what they believe in. In the 1960s, nearly 1/4 of the women with children over the age of 16 had paid jobs, but since there was no laws against discrimination in the workplace between genders, women didn't get paid nearly as much as a man does for doing the same job. At the time, women would earn 59 cents for every dollar that a man makes. Many women at the time read a book by Betty Friedan called The Feminine Mystique, and it made many women start thinking and wondering if they should be content with their inequality. Friedan wrote, "Each suburban wife struggles with it alone as she made the beds, shopped for groceries, matched slipcover material, ate peanut butter sandwiches with her children, chauffeured Cub Scouts and brownies, lay beside her husband at night. She was afraid to ask of herself the silent question, is this all?" Many women started to not want to be the housewife anymore that was seen as somebody to just care for their family. They were more than that. They were not Barbie dolls. Today, I was handed this flyer for a strike. The flyer reads, 50 years ago, August 26, women suffragists finally won the vote after a long, courageous campaign that brought them ridicule, blows, jail, but finally success, the right to voices as human beings in the affairs of a nation. Was that the final victory? There's many questions on this as well that say things like, have you ever been paid less at a job for which a man would have been paid more? Have you ever resented it even a little that almost all the important political decisions are made by men? It says here at the bottom, if you answered yes to even a very few of these questions, you owe it to yourself, to other women, to participate in the August 26, 1970 Day of Action and Protest to show that you feel that women do not yet have the full freedom and equal status that is their birthright as human beings. I decided that I'm going to go to the strike to protest. This is Mike Scott, male chauvinist, TV9, Eyewitness News. Well, tomorrow, 50 years after they won the vote, 50 years after we gave them the vote, the women are going to strike to support their liberation demands. Thankfully, Cedar Rapids women's liberation movement is pretty much dormant. So remember, men, if tomorrow you come home and find that your wife is refusing to do the cooking, and you go to work and find that your secretary is refusing to do the filing, don't blame them. Remember, you gave them the vote 50 years ago. It's August 26, 1970, 50 years after the passing of the 19th Amendment. The 19th Amendment gave me and many other women the right to vote, but today we are striking for more rights today. I'm here in New York City on 5th Avenue, and I'm marching with nearly 50,000 other women. Women have signs just like mine that read things like, I'm not a Barbie doll, don't strike while the iron is hot, and women strike for peace and equality. Many women are holding their own rallies today in places like New Orleans, Boston, and Indianapolis. In Los Angeles, women are holding rallies on the streets and doing street performances while wearing Richard Nixon masks. Richard Nixon previously claimed that he supported the Equal Rights Amendment movement, but he has done nothing to show his support for that so far today. Today, us women are taking a stand against people like him and the false promises that were made. don't get it. I'm fine with working at home and taking care of my loving family. My husband comes home every day from work to a warm meal and a great wife. I enjoy being a Barbie doll. I don't care. These women are marching and putting a bad name on women like me. Women don't need jobs because they have to take care of their family. Who would be caring for the children if we were out striking? Who would be cleaning the house? Why should we be fighting for our rights when we're already doing just fine? It says here that 4 out of 5 adults now know about the women's rights movement. That's ridiculous. Why would we need to know about something that doesn't matter? I agree with these reporters out here that are saying women don't belong in protests. There's no need for this. Richard Nixon, your 37th president. 53 years ago, on August 26, 1920, the 19th Amendment was certified as part of our Constitution, assuring that the right of citizens of the United States to vote shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or by any state on the account of sex. The struggle for women's suffrage, however, was only the first step toward full and equal participation of women in our nation's life. In recent years, we have made giant strides by attacking sex discrimination through our laws and by paving new avenues to equal economic opportunity for women. Today, in virtually every sector of our society, women are making important contributions to the quality of the American life, and yet much still remains to be done. American women, though they represent a majority of our population, still suffer from myriad forms of discrimination. In the pursuit of equal rights for women, the federal government must take the lead and set the example. Last year, with the enactment of the Equal Employment Opportunity Act of 1972, a strong new statutory base was provided for furthering equal opportunity for women in the federal government. While we are making great strides to eliminate outright job discrimination because of sex in the federal government, we must recognize that people's attitudes cannot therefore be changed by law alone. Now therefore I, Richard Nixon, President of the United States of America, do hereby call upon the people of the United States and interested groups and organizations to observe August 26, 1973 as Women's Equality Day with appropriate ceremonies and activities. I further urge all our people to use this occasion to reflect on the importance of achieving equal rights and opportunities for women and to dedicate themselves anew to the great goal. For the cause of equal rights and opportunities for women is inseparable from the cause of dignity and human justice for all. Two years after the strike, in 1972, Title IX was passed and forbade any sex discrimination in any government-funded education program. One of the main goals for women at the strike was to get equality with their One of the main goals for the women at the strike was to get equality with their education, and they succeeded in doing so by taking a stand. In 1973, abortion was legalized in all 50 states, and this gave many women easier access to abortions, which was one of the things the women at the strike had been taking a stand for. Women no longer have to get illegal abortions, and that's a success for all women who attended the strike and who supported the strike. Childcare is now more easily accessible for working women. Women no longer have to follow strict gender norms like they used to. Women can now get nearly any job as they please in the United States. Women no longer face as much discrimination in the world today as they did in the 1970s and earlier on. The wage gap is now less less, and for every dollar that a man makes, a woman makes around 80 cents. The women at the 1970 March helped by taking a stand and speaking out about discrimination between the sexes. The feminist movement has had many successes since the 1970s and keeps moving on and making more advances in the United States of America. I hope you have a lovely evening, Mr. Hansen. Please email me back to reschedule. Sincerely, Eliza Kelly.